someone had to serve up Jogo Eleganza. Hello! It's Romania Black, and yes, I am serving up Jogo Eleganza because no one else will. I thought to myself, I was like, I want to cosplay something different this week, and I was like, I want to do Jogo, but Jogo is kind of hard to do because he's kind of otherworldly, and the pattern is weird, and so I was looking online and trying to find, like, polka dot things. Like, I was looking for a poncho, like Mojitos, and then I saw this dress and was like, if Mojito can get a Juju Stroll feminization, why can't Jogo? So that's what we are. We're making Jogo elegant and classy, and he just wants all of the curses to rule the world, so. But it's Romania Black, and yes, I felt like dressing up like Jogo and making Jogo the beautiful queen that he is. The queen that she is, for this. And so we are on episode 12 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is technically like the halfway point of the season. It feels weird to say that because it doesn't feel like the halfway point. No, we had 5 episodes of flashback, and this is only, what, the 6th episode of, we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is like the 7th episode of the actual face-to-face series, so it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like halfway point at all, but technically in the season it is. So that's where we're at. I'm very curious to see what we get at this point, because usually around the halfway point things have to, like, usually at the halfway point of the series, if you have like a 2-core, like with season 1, episodes 12 and 13 were like the end of an arc, beginning of the second arc, but in this case it's a little bit different, so I like that. You kind of go in not knowing what's gonna happen, so yeah, technically next episode is the rule of 8 in the second arc, which does not bode well. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, right? But I've got some comments before we start before Jogo gets settled into all of this, and to do that. But we were talking about this in the Discord after episode 11 aired, and Anne was saying that no wonder Jogo cherishes his high school days so much because his childhood was pretty rough. Yeah, Gojo being targeted since he was a child and having a bounty on his head of like 100 million yen since he was a baby is a bit daunting. And the fact that he's constantly had to protect himself, you know, against strangers and outside threats is a very big thing. And so I like the idea that Anne said that, you know, going to high school was like an escape for him. Like, oh, I'm protected in this high school because of the barrier Tengen sets up. I can meet people like Geto and Shoko. It was just a transformative experience for Gojo. And I kind of like that because a lot of times I'm a teacher myself. And so high school and college is seen for a lot of people as an escape. Like if you have a terrible home life, you use school as an escape to get away from that, to meet people that are better than the people that you're around in your home circumstance, at least in the US. And so I like this idea that even though Gojo was born into this wealth and luxury from what we think, right? They're a prominent clan, so we think. And perhaps his family life was fine. I like the idea that he thought of Jujutsu High School as an escape. That was really good. I like that a lot. Anime Annie noted in the Discord that Jogo didn't get a femme version in Juju Stroll, which is why I was like, yes, that's why I want to be Jogo, to make Jogo elegant. You know, if Jogo was a drag queen, this is what Jogo would look like. This would be Jogo's premiere eleganza, right? And then was Ino's hat, Anime Annie posited this, was Ino's hat in the last episode more of a balaclava or based on an executioner's hood? I like the idea of the executioner's hood just because I'm from a Western culture, so that I resonate more with that. But with all of the Chinese mythology that we'll talk about here in a second, tied up with Ino's beast summons, maybe the balaclava would make more sense. We'll see. And then Yatharai 4658, Yatharai 4658 was talking about the white-haired individual. We don't know if it's a man or a woman, but it is voiced by Yelena's voice actor from Attack on Titan. That doesn't seem to give much away to me, though, because the voice actor, Yelena's character in Attack on Titan, without spoiling anything, is more of an androgynous character. And there are lots of voice actresses like Romy Park, like Yelena's voice actress, who voice voices more androgynous characters or non-binary characters. So it's really hard to say, oh, well, it's a female voice actress, so the white-haired individual has to be female. No, that is not true. A lot of times Japanese voice actresses voice male characters, they voice non-binary characters. There's no way to really know, but it's interesting to know that Yelena's voice actor is the VA for this white-haired individual. Yelena in Attack on Titan, without spoiling anything, is a crazy individual. So yeah, what do we say with that? That's all I'm going to say on that note. But thank you for telling me that VA information. Seppi talks about how Todo was talking about earlier on in the series about the mind, body, and soul being as a whole, which ties into Geto's whole deal with him choking out Brain Coon. And I thought that was fun. It's funny how we talk about Todo and being like, what a himbo, what does he know? And then something that Todo brings up is kind of a thematic element to the whole series. Maybe we should be paying more attention to the high IQ that Todo has. Perhaps. User V asked, how did Megumi know about Geto? And because Geto has kind of been like, does Gojo like reminisce in front of his students? I don't think so. However, I do think that Geto, was around Yuta during the movie, and Megumi and Yuta have at least conversed, I think, because Megumi respects Yuta so much. So my guess is that Yuta told Megumi about Geto. He was like, hey, here's some stuff about like what happened last summer with me. Here was my last summer vacation. Let me tell you about it. And Megumi was like, oh, okay. Which is interesting. And then I love that User V pointed out that Mekamaru saw the entire soulmate moment where he's like, I know in my heart and my soul. Someone showed me the English dub clip of Gojo's voice actor. I don't watch the English dub of Jujutsu Kaisen. I've heard it's kind of hit or miss. But I did watch that clip of Gojo's English dub actor being like, my heart and soul knows better. And I was like, oh yes, English dub VAs, you know what you're doing. But I like that Mekamaru saw that whole thing and they're just like, oh, okay, I know now. Which is so sad because Mekamaru, it's his last vestige. He's like gonna die after this. And Mekamaru's like, I'm gonna die knowing that Gojo and Geto had a thing for each other. What a weird thing to know. And then finally, Anime Annie talked about a couple of things. The egg of Columbus means discovering something that seems obvious after the fact. And it's like, gotcha. So it seems like the egg of Columbus is like, oh, we should have known the curse users were there because it seems so obvious after the fact. Gotcha. And then Ino's Chinese mythical, his creatures and beast summons are based on Chinese mythology. There is Kaichi, which is the horned one in the picture, and it's a symbol of justice and law that usually takes the form of a goat or an ox. Reiki is the turtle or the tortoise that is usually an omen of good luck, which is interesting. Ryu is a Chinese dragon, and they didn't want to go into details about the other one because it could be spoilers. And I was like, thank you. I'm sure if we see the third spirit beast summon, whatever it is, then Anime Annie will inform me and us all about what that means. So that's great. And then the grandson, I like that if we were joking in the Discord that basically the face Skinner is like Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. If you've seen that movie, if you haven't, it's Halloween season. Go watch it. It's creepy. But then the grandson, if we have Buffalo Bill, the grandson's like Hannibal because it eats part of Toji. So I'm still not on board this whole, everybody in the Discord, and I was having the biggest fit about it. Everybody in the Discord was all like, oh my God, Toji's back. Oh my God, he's so sexy. I'm like, this is not Toji, damn it. This is some mohawk mofo in his grandmother's basement trying to catfish all of us. Don't be fooled by him. I don't know. We don't know the whole story of like if he has become Toji or if he's just inhabited Toji's body and skills. But it's not. My heart and my soul knows that it's not Toji. My eyes are trying to deceive me. My heart and soul knows it's not Toji, so it's not real. I feel like Gojo trying to tell everybody, don't be fooled by this catfish. No. I'm not going to support it. I don't support identity theft. It's a crime. I couldn't watch this episode last night when it came out, so I had to watch it this morning, and I am feeling it. My morning coffee has kicked in. I am living my Jogo fantasy. I am having a great time, and I hope you all are too, because we're about to start episode 12 of this Jujutsu Kaisen. So I'm excited. I hope y'all are too. We're not going to waste any more time. I've talked for 10 minutes. We are going to dive right in to episode 12 and see what we get. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's do this. Oh, Lordy. My skin is cleared. My crops are watered. The famines have been fed. Nanami is my favorite character in Jujutsu Kaisen, so this was a good day. It's so funny because I had planned on doing Jogo today. I was like, I'm going to do feminine Jogo today. And then my plan for next week was to do Nanami. So, you know, I don't know if that will work out, that Nanami will be in the next episode. I don't know if that'll work out, but if anything, we'll pay homage to Nanami next week and be like, oh my god. Oh, y'all, y'all can have Toji. Go right ahead. Y'all can have resurrected Toji, I guess. We'll talk about that. Thank God. We're going to talk about that. I'm interested about this. But I feel a little bit better about Toji in this episode. A little bit better, a little bit worse, a little bit what the fudge. But we're going to talk about that. But, oh, Nanami. I am a little bit worried that they did not follow up on the blonde. I'm like, why didn't we follow up on that? I think we should have followed up on that because I don't think he's dead. I don't think he's out. We'll talk about that in a second. We're going to bring Whiteboard Kun into this. But I was like, if Shonen has taught me anything, you follow up. You go through. You come through. You follow up. You make sure that shit is out of here. And then, again, I feel like history will be repeating itself because did we not? Well, they couldn't have learned what Gojo learned because Gojo learned that you dispose of the bodies because of Geto, who has been, you know, resurrected in a way. You dispose of the bodies properly, and this won't happen. Toji coming back to life. You dispose of the bodies properly, this won't happen. I'm afraid that it's going to be like Three's a Charm. We didn't dispose of Geto. Here he is again. We didn't dispose of Toji properly. Here he is again. And now we didn't dispose of the blonde. Here he's going to probably be again. So I'm like, it's just very frustrating. Although, I don't feel like the blonde is a like make or break bad guy, but I feel like he's going to be a huge annoyance because he is very strong or has a technique that allows him to be strong and is going to be problematic. I don't think he's going to be like, oh, he's like the threat that we can't just stop. It's going to be like, no, he's going to be the splinter in your finger that you can't get rid of and is just really annoying and hazardous. So yeah. But I want to talk about this episode because, yeah, we spent the last episode being like, well, it's all a setup. And the funny part is we get no answers. I was like, oh, we'll get answers next week. And then, no, we move on to another subplot. So it's almost like Gege is like, oh, you don't have to worry about answers now. It's all going to come together. Brain Kun has this elaborate plan. That part has become very clear. Brain Kun has a big old plan. I don't like it. I don't like how confident Brain Kun is. That is problematic to me, that Brain Kun's like, oh, everything's fine. We got this. As long as Gojo's sealed, all is well. And I'm like, because there's so many pieces on the board that are a problem, right? So let's break this down. I'm going to bring Whiteboard Kun over here a little bit. Let's break down all the pieces on the board and how problematic they are. So, obviously at the center of it all is Brain Kun. And Brain Kun has met MeiMei over here, which I don't like that at all. I'm like, no! I'm like, Mei got to be super badass in this episode, which should have been a red flag that anytime a character gets to go on all out and be badass, it's gonna come back and bite you in the ass. And I'm like, but everybody got to be badass in this episode, and I don't like where it's heading. I'm like, no, Nobara, Nanami, MeiMei, they got to all be badass, and I'm like, I don't get good vibes from that because Gege likes to punish us after he rewards us. He's like, here's some great moments with Gojo, right? Wasn't that amazing and badass? Now we're going to seal him up for the rest of the series. And I'm like, no. So MeiMei and her brother. I'm more concerned with the brother than MeiMei. And they're against this smallpox deity, which the only problem is, you know, it seems like, oh, smallpox deity, oh no, Oregon Trail, we got dysentery to worry about. But the smallpox deity is a special grade curse, which is a problem. Now, MeiMei seems somewhat confident. They're like, oh, this is the first time I've had to fight for my life in a while. And I'm like, I don't know. I would be concerned for her brother. I'd be like, my bro here, he's like, what does he have as a defense? I feel like the smallpox curse would instantly like try to take him out. The weird thing is, the smallpox deity doesn't even go after him. Doesn't even like give him a second glance. I'd be like, if I was a curse, I'd want to weed out anything. But then again, you could go about two ways. If I was a curse, I'd either want to isolate my opponent, so I'd get rid of the brother, get him out of the picture because he might be a nuisance, and then isolate MeiMei and go after her. Or the other option is you keep the brother alive to use as a distraction or as bait or as, you know, a liability to distract MeiMei if needed. So I'm guessing the curse is probably thinking the latter, that it's going to use the brother kind of as a liability moment to get MeiMei caught off guard. But I don't know. It's made me this entire episode question, like, is the brother even like a thing? Is it really her brother? Does he have like some crazy technique that like lets him teleport like that and get out of there? Does it let him like defend himself? I feel like the brother has to have some kind of barrier or protection around him to keep him safe, or he's not alive, or he's an extension of her technique somehow. He's just gonna burst into crows. He's just gonna like turn into crows, and it's gonna be revealed he wasn't her brother all along. I don't know. I'm very curious about him. He strikes me as a big question mark. Like, why are you not worried about your brother? She's not been worried about him this whole time. He's just been there. Maybe, but we haven't seen him do any fighting techniques on screen. So maybe he like becomes Kirby and like just bites, takes a big chunk out of something, or like sucks him up or something. I don't know. The brother has me very curious, and it could be that Gege is just like, nah, he's just there. You know, I'm gonna come up with these elaborate theories about the brother, and then it's just nothing. You know, that could be. But the point is that MeiMei is very close to Brain-kun, but Brain-kun's like, nah, we good. Now, Brain-kun, he left Gojo. He left Gojo at the station, right? Or did he take him with him? I mean, I guess he could leave him at the station, but I'm like, wouldn't you be worried somebody would go and get him? Or maybe he just left Gojo because he's like, MeiMei is getting really close to where the people are on B5. I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to go take care of her and distract her and then go back to Gojo. So I think that's what he did. He just left Gojo there for a hot second because he knew Gojo wasn't going anywhere, technically. Nobody was going to be... I would be surprised. It'd be kind of funny if the sisters, the twins, came and like picked Gojo up and ran off with him. They're like, we don't know how to get him out of here, but we're going to get him away from Geto-kun. And then just like took off with him. That would be freaking hilarious if the twins like took Gojo in the prison and like ran off. Like the surrogate daughters of Geto ran off with their surrogate like other co-parent. So I don't know. That's weird to me. In the words of Jessica Wilde, that was weird for me. So I don't know what's up with Gojo. We'll probably find out later. But let's break down where everybody else is on this map. So as far as Jogo goes, we don't know where old Jogo is. Jogo is somewhere. Other people that we don't know where they're at, or what they're doing at this moment might be the better way. Panda and Kusakabe are, you know, where are they at? Maybe they'll face Jogo. Maybe, possibly, I don't know. They're kind of off in the wings by themselves. Then we have Mahito. Mahito is nowhere to be seen. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that we don't know where Mahito is. Nah, not a fan of that. Mahito's very chaotic. I don't like that at all. That's problematic. Then we have Choso. Choso has run into Yuuji, who conveniently left by himself. We're going to talk about that. And then we have also, I'm going to put the little red curse up here. Don't like the red curse. Like I said, I'm going to just cosplay as the red curse and be under a red blanket the whole time and be like, hee hee hee. Yeah, we don't know about that. Also, I guess to point out the white-haired individual, we don't know where they are. The white-haired individual was with the blonde, but they were not when the blonde was facing, so who knows where the white-haired individual is. I don't know. They're somewhere. And then we have the grandma's probably dead. So that's the grandma and Buffalo Bill we're going to put here. Have they been taken care of? I mean, Buffalo Bill ain't dead, but if Toji gets a hold of him, there's a very high possibility that he's going to be. So the grandma we think is dead, but the big question is, so if the grandma's dead, does Toji like disappear, or is Toji like been resurrected? The fudge. Let's talk about that. So we're going to talk about Toji, who has overridden the grandson, supposedly. We're going to talk about that. What a fun like transition to us talking about souls and the power of souls over the body, and is it the soul as the whole? Does the soul incorporate itself alongside the body and the mind? Are they separate entities? Mahito suggests that it depends on the person. Perhaps Toji is an example that Toji and Geto are similar in that the soul is incorporated into the body, and Toji's soul was just more powerful than Mohawk Mofo's. Perhaps. We'll talk about that in a second when we go through the episode proper. And so then we have Yuji's over here. We're also going to put over here the blonde. The blonde ponytail who just got wrecked. Good. Who has killed Ichiji. Oh my god. And that whole opening sequence, we're going to talk about it here in a hot second. But then with Nanami, and then Nobara and Nita. Okay. And Nanami is wanting to go over to where Mei is. Okay. Nanami is going to want to go over to where Mei is at to go after Gojo with both of them. Fueling my crack pairing of Nanami and MeiMei. Fueling that crack pairing for me. I think they'd have a lot. I think they'd be good for each other, right? We'll talk about it. And then we have over here, we also have Megumi. Megumi conveniently taking Ino outside the veil because Ino is out of commission. I'm glad Ino isn't dead, for the record. I really thought that Ino would be dead. I thought Ino was not making it past last episode. I thought they were going to find him. I thought Yuji and Megumi were going to show up, stand in front of Toji, and Megumi would be like, WTF, and then Ino would just be like this blob. But apparently what it seems like is that Toji overrid the grandson just in time and be like, why am I beating up this kid? Just threw him over the building and was like, wait, how did I get back here? What's going on? Why am I not dead? I was enjoying myself in the afterlife. What are we doing? You woke me up. You rubbed my lamp. You woke me up and now I'm here. Okay, Grandma. Like, that's what it seemed like. So Megumi has conveniently taken Ino out of the veil. And honestly, from a writer's standpoint, that's very clever for Gege to do because Gege is, one, seemingly not ready for Megumi to see Toji. Makes sense. This is a very chaotic situation. We have no freaking clue what Toji's going to do at this point. So there's that. Two, it makes sense because Megumi has a summon that can fly. So it would make sense if you want Ino to get out of there, you have to use Megumi because he's the only one that can fly Ino out very quickly and come back to the scene to help everybody else. Three, the veil has now lifted that allows sorcerers in, so it makes sense that now Megumi can go out, he can come back in and communicate with everybody else. We're good there. The only thing I can think of is that it's a temporary veil break and that Megumi is going to leave with Ino and get trapped outside the veil. That's the only thing. That would be a problem because if Megumi leaves with Ino to take him to safety and then Geto launches another veil, then we're in trouble because we've established that Geto, or aka Brain-kun, seems to have an idea that Megumi is a trigger for Sukuna, and that as long as Megumi is in relative danger, Sukuna is not going to play games with them. He's not going to play fair. He's going to be on the side of trying to help Megumi. So it would honestly be in Brain-kun's best interest to get Megumi out of where the veil was, reactivate the veil, trap Megumi out with Ino through all of this, so Megumi is completely left out, and then let things go down, and then Megumi's like, what the fudge is going on? So, which could be kind of cool, because if Megumi gets trapped outside the veil and, like, Yuta shows up, for example, like, I'm still, in my mindset, under the headcanon that And oh gosh, you know, he has the voice curses. Name starts with an I. It's escaping me at the moment. But my theory is he went to go find Yuta and bring him back to this. So my theory would be that he shows up with Megumi and Yuta's like, what's been going on? And Megumi's like, here, let me catch you up since we respect each other. And then they figure out what to do with the veil being, you know, lifted. That's my theory of what Gege is going to do. Now, this episode completely proved a lot of my theories wrong, so we'll see. But that's what I think is going to happen. Megumi is going to conveniently leave with Ino. The veil is going to get reactivated, kick Megumi out, and because Megumi is outside the veil and no longer a threat to trigger Sukuna, that will leave it open for Choso, Mahito, and Yogo to go after Yuji without worrying about Sukuna feeling like his precious Megumi is threatened. Because I think by this point we all can agree, we the audience know that Sukuna's after Megumi for whatever reason, or has an obsession with him for whatever reason. So then that leaves that. So Megumi is kind of like, he's out of the picture right now. That leaves Maki and the Zenin guy, which is such a interesting scenario because you have Maki, who is the kicked out member of the Zenin clan, who is the one doing all the work, and then the old Zenin man who's doing jack shit, and she's stuck with him. It would be interesting if Toji, because it's like, now what is Toji going to do? If Toji's killed the grandma and he's not disintegrated yet, or he's not left the body of the grandson, and he's like become a host to this body and is like, well, this body doesn't exactly have the 8 packs I was hoping for, but whatever, I'm going to go with it. If Toji, it would be interesting. I don't necessarily want Toji to see Megumi because I don't think we're ready for that reunion. It's too much chaos right now. I don't think that the story needs a reunion between Megumi and Toji right now. There's just too much going on. That would be like something for after the fact. Like if Toji manages to escape with this body and him and Megumi come across each other later in the story, that's something different. But what would be interesting is if Toji shows up with Maki and Zenin, if he goes and finds them and he's like, oh, hey, old man, hey, cuz, and like they have some exchange, that would be pretty cool. I'm not worried about Maki right now necessarily because I think she can hold her own against just these transfigured people. The Zenin man is completely useless, or at least he seems to be. And the thing that sucks the most is I don't think he's useless. I think he actually is. He's a grade 1 sorcerer. He's strong enough. But he's so arrogant and like, oh, let the help do the work. And I'm like, oh my God. Then I think it's going to come back to bite his ass. And I'm like, So I'm a little bit worried about Maki. A wee bit. Although, we have some characters we have no clue where they are, right? We don't know where Mei is, the sister. We don't know, or Mai rather. We don't know where she is, right? We don't know where Todo is. We don't know where Urahime is. If they're on the outside looking in. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. But I feel it's not Inumaki, is it? Is it? I feel so bad. But we have him, who I think is going after Yuta because they're pals from the movie. And then we have Mekamaru in all of this. I'm going to put Mekamaru by Yuji. Mekamaru is not saying much. To me, that says that Mekamaru is trying to do some calculations. Mekamaru is running on borrowed time anyway, and it's kind of a weird situation where they're like, okay, well, how does this work? It's a cursed entity, but can it comprehend? Can it do calculations? My theory is that Mekamaru is trying to figure out what's going on and try to figure out what is all of this detailing, and is trying to tell Yuji to warn Yuji of something to come. But there's so many variables that are unknown that Mekamaru is probably just like trying to process. It's like Mekamaru.exe is trying to reboot. Because yeah, we have so many unknown variables. We don't know about the red curse. We don't know about the white-haired individual. We don't know about Mahito. We don't know about Jogo. We know Choso's there. But there's so many unknown variables. And there's more bad guys than good. So, and the problem is the blonde mofo has been taking out the suits. And the reason for that is that the suits are a form of communication with outside the veil. So the suits have been ways in which the sorcerers all they've been mediators and liaisons for them communicating amongst each other. So if you take out the watchtowers, it's kind of like if you're the suits were all their watchtowers. So if you take them out, you've just got pieces on the board. But if they can't communicate to one another, it's a problem. So I think that's what the blonde cursed user was tasked with. Like, go take out all these little watchtowers, these communication checkpoints, And then that will limit communication amongst the sorcerers, which will make it harder for them to help each other, which will be advantageous to us. That's just my thoughts. Just my thoughts. So let's go through this episode and just, what the fudge. NANAMI, from the very beginning. I gotta reboot Crunchyroll, but NANAMI, that opening monologue, the moment we had the opening monologue, so we had the computer booting up, right? And what it was like all these graphs and sales and things like that. It was NANAMI at his job when he quit being a jujutsu sorcerer and he went to like his salaryman job. It was like the computer booting up. Like it shows, and it being in the dark shows that NANAMI got there early in the morning before everyone else to do his job. So like showing how dedicated he was, and just him saying that getting irritated at my own failings. And it shows him with the sandwich from the little sandwich shop with the girl. And he says that's something I've never done. I don't get irritated at my own failings. Okay, so I want to put the timestamps on here because I think they're important. Because I was noticing throughout this episode, the timestamps were not linear. Things are happening in different orders. And that's important. So, NANAMI showing up, we have 21:44. Him showing up outside the veil at Shibuya Station when he sees Ichiji. That was at 21:44. So that is relatively important for us to know. He says, has never been and never will be a part of my life. So NANAMI's saying that getting mad at my own failings is something I will never do because it's just part of my life. It's just how things go. There's no point in regrets. There's no point in looking at the past. There's only moving forward. He's like, I don't have time to look at the past and be worried about it, right? God, but him seeing Ichiji, him just walking up and there's Ichiji dead there in a puddle of blood. Like, I was getting like Reba McEntire the night the lights went out in Georgia vibes, where it's like the character in that song stumbles up and sees like their friend in a pool of blood and is like that was the vibe I was getting. But NANAMI seeing, I will simply confront the evils that force this reality upon us. And I will simply, and we see Ichiji there, and I wanted to catch who he had the glimpse of. Who did he have a glimpse of? There's like a flash. And it's Haibara, isn't it? I'll confront the evils that are upon us. And simply, I want to see if it's Haibara. I think it is. Yep, it was Haibara. Oh, and that face, it's so stone cold. And then arrogant bastards. He's like, I'm going to confront the reality that is upon us and simply work through it. He doesn't answer the question. He doesn't answer that statement. He doesn't finish it. He's just like, arrogant bastards. But yeah, seeing Ichiji reminding him of not being able to save Haibara. And so yeah, there is that guilt there that NANAMI has of, Ichiji has died and I wasn't able to save him. I was away. Haibara died and I wasn't able to save him because I was away. It makes sense why he tells Nobara and Nita to not come with him, because he's like, I don't want you to be a liability. But there's a little bit of a double-edged sword there, and there's a little bit of irony there, because on the one hand, NANAMI does not want people to come with him because he's afraid they're going to get hurt, and he doesn't want to see that. But then the irony is, when he's away and people are separated from him, they could get hurt and he's not there to protect them. So there's this very weird balance and fine line between NANAMI being afraid that he's going to put people in jeopardy by being with him, but then them getting into jeopardy because he's not there to help. So, and I'm afraid that history is going to repeat itself with Nobara and Nita standing there. I don't think the blonde is dead, and I don't think the blonde is knocked out. I think he's biding his time, and we'll talk about it in a second. But yeah, God, the moment that NANAMI says arrogant bastards, it's like, well, he's pissed, right? I like this episode. It's called Dull Knife because it's like suggesting a knife that's been used over and over and over again to the point where it's starting to get rusty. It also represents like a knife that's not been sharpened, a knife that's rusty. There's lots of implications behind that title of it being a dull knife that it's something that's not sharpened, not polished, but also something that's been used over and over again, same old song and dance. There's lots of implications. I'm sure you all will add to that in the comments, but there's lots of implications with the title, right? But yeah, so then we have the intro. We'll skip that. I love that we go straight from the intro to MeiMei. Oh, MeiMei and NANAMI, they owned this episode. They owned it. They are just, I think one of the reasons I crack ship NANAMI and MeiMei is because they both have like that strut, that big energy that's just like, oh, you think that you're going to do something. Like that kind of energy. God, MeiMei. So MeiMei has a really cool, and also MeiMei and NANAMI come from it at very similar angles. They both are sorcerers who don't necessarily have this like amazing OP technique right off the bat. They don't have the 6 eyes. They don't have beast summons. They don't have the ability to do these crazy supernatural things. They're just freaking strong. I mean, MeiMei's ability is that she can control crows, which she's like, that's all I got. So instead, to compensate for that, she had to be like Toji and Maki and gain this extra strength in other ways, right? And she's like, my technique is just to control crows and manipulate them. So that's it. So I've had to compensate. Now, meanwhile, MeiMei and the brother, this was all at like 22:02. So this was like 20 minutes after all this started going down, is over there. Why, right? So this point is like a little bit ahead of time, right? This is a little bit ahead of time. She was probably fighting the curse user and stuff while NANAMI was finding Ichiji. I'm gonna imagine that the manga had that guy's leg be a big bloody mess, because usually the anime will censor gore if there's like a limb chopped off or something like that, because his stump is just like hobbling away but there's no blood. I'm gonna assume the manga's pretty bloody. Just gonna assume it, right? And then her brother's just sitting there. She's like, being able to overwhelm you proves my point. And then I like that the brother's like, shh, my sister's in the middle of talking. Don't interrupt her. He's also sitting atop the dog that's been destroyed. So again, I feel like it's weird that we don't see what the brother can do. I feel like there's a secret technique there. I guess we'll find out. I guess it just depends. But I feel like that's something. And she's like, I've hit my limit. I couldn't keep improving my physical abilities and the ability to enhance them with cursed energy forever. I was crushed. I had lost heart. So I decided to confront my own technique once more. And that's when I came into full bloom as a grade 1 sorcerer. So it's interesting. Like, she's just strutting like forward, just being like, I got this. Oh, you thought you were just gonna mess with me. Oh, that was cute. What's interesting is she talked about her confronting her technique, and that enabled her to become a grade 1 sorceress. So what does that mean? I feel like we didn't get to see MeiMei fight at all with this guy, and I feel like that's intentional because she's gonna pour her all into this special grade curse. So we're maybe gonna see her actually fight against the special grade curse and not just see it off screen like this. I don't know. I feel like I want to see what she can do. Either we're gonna see that or we're gonna see her go out against Brain-kun. But I like MeiMei a lot, but I'm really concerned because Brain-kun is like the final boss. And her confronting the final boss this quickly is concerning to me because I feel like she's setting herself up to fail. And I don't like it because I don't think Brain-kun is not forgiving. But I don't know. Brain-kun left the twins alive. I don't know. I don't get good vibes. I don't feel comfortable about it. And then I love that the little brother's like, applause. He's like, clap for my sister. She's amazing. Clap for her. The thing that gets me is that she talks about the value of a life and how she justifies in her world the value of people. And she's like, if you're not an asset to me, then you don't matter. And that is a very cold way of looking at the world. That is a very cold way. But I like that it's very consistent for Mei. MeiMei has always been like, no, this is how I view the world. If you don't have money for me, I don't really care because that's how I have to live. I mean, you're looking at a situation where MeiMei has had to kill cursed users and had to destroy curses and had to put, her life and others in jeopardy. So she's like, well, how do I justify that? And for her, it's if you don't have potential use for her, then she doesn't really have anything to do with you. And I like that she tells him, she's like, look, yeah, that I'd like to spare your life, but what good would that do me? Are you really going to change your ways, or are you just trying to get an out? Because is this somewhat valuable? Because, you know, in her mind, she's thinking, well, why did you even attack me? That's because something was in it for you, right? And so she kind of flips it on its head and says, you attacked me because you were probably promised something, because this guy and his random, like, Jake and Finn, you know, these curse users, they don't have any plot of revenge against her. They don't have any secret agenda, like, to benefit the curse society or whatever. It just seemed like they attacked her because they were promised something, or there was something in it for them. And now she's flipping the script and saying, yeah, that's why you attacked me, but why I'm going to attack you is because you don't have anything in it for me not to. And it's like she's very, I like that our white-haired characters are very cold and cruel, and she's like, you're not getting away. Sorry. The weight of a life. And I feel like it's her brother, like her asking her brother to explain what the weight of a life is something that's like ingrained in their family. It's like, here's how we're assassins first, aristocrats second, you know, one of those deals. So anyway, I measure lives by their potential assets. Shaboom. So then the veil is lifted. Megumi and Yuuji manage to lift the veil. Fun times. And so we go back. Let's see if we get any, like, of where we're at with Yuuji and Megumi. Do they tell us? They tell us the time? I know they tell us the time later. Yep, 2204. So 2204, right around the time that MeiMei is fighting, is killing the one cursed user, is about the time that Megumi and Yuuji lift the veil. Okay, so that was, of course, after Nanami went looking for the blonde. So then they are like, okay, well, the other two were dummies. We lifted the one veil, but we didn't lift all the other veils. So what do we do now? And that is when Megumi notices Ino. And they manage to, and poor Yuuji like sees Ino's head all bloody, and Yuji's like, oh my god, my friend got hurt. Is he okay? And I like that Megumi's like, no, he's not okay, but he's not dead. So then we get this grandson and the grandma, and they're like, what now? What do we do now? Like, his body gets overrun by Toji. Uh-huh. And she's like, it won't hurt to keep Gojo out of play. So go down and kill the sorcerers. And that's when Toji wakes up. She's like, grandson. Uh-huh. Here's the thing. I was getting so frustrated because they gave the grandson Toji's voice actor as well as his body. And I was like, well, screw you. But no. Toji, like, gets his body back. Like, he's possessed the grandson. Instead of the other way around. And then he's like, you old hag. So his eyes glowing red there makes me feel like her seance went awry. So the way that we understand it is that, okay, the way that we can understand this is that Toji, his, the soul, or in this case, the soul, she says that it was the grandson's soul, because you have the grandson's soul was overridden by Toji's body. But I feel like there's part of the soul taking place. So basically Toji's soul and body was stronger than the grandson's, surprising no one. And so now he's using the grandson as a host instead of the other way around. Instead of the grandson using Toji as a host, it's been flipped. I'm like, maybe, just like we don't use Ouija boards, those are dangerous. Maybe you shouldn't hold seances when you don't exactly know what you're getting into, Grandmama. But she did not listen. And she's like, oh shit. Like, what is this? Like, what's the meaning of this? It's impossible. I channeled the body's information. And he's like, channeled? And he's like, oh, so that's why I'm not in hell anymore. So that's the reason. Oh. He's like, I've made it a point not to channel the soul's information in order to prevent the accidents like this. Ah, okay. So she meant to just transfer the body. She's like, I just wanted to give my grandson Toji's body, but not his soul too. But Toji's like, well, my body's special. So you done goofed, Grandmama. You brought me back. He's like, I don't get it, but my body's special. So I guess it just means this guy's soul couldn't win against my body. Like, you channeled the wrong person. Which is so funny because in the last several episodes we've had this conversation about Geto attacking Brain-kun using his soul and his body. We've had the conversations about Mojito and this philosophical discussion, and now we're transferring it over to the idea of Toji being like, well, you took a gamble and it was not a good one. And I love that he just appears right next to her. He just moves and he's like, kill sorcerers. And he's like, well, aren't you a sorcerer? Aren't you? You're a curse user, but you were a sorcerer, weren't you? And then he just annihilates her. I'm like, and then we cut to like the curse getting dead. So, okay, well, conveniently enough for us, which is good for us, and I don't know where his toy has gone. Conveniently for us, oh, there it is. Megumi has left the building. Megumi is taking Ino to go, and Yuuji has taken off somewhere else. So we have a wild Toji just running around, doing whatever. That's fun. The thing about it is, Toji's kind of on, I don't know, and I don't want to know, because we're going to find out in the series, but, like, is Toji on borrowed time? Can he stay? Is he now here forever? As long as the grandson's body's alive, is Toji able to be here? Is there a time limit? Does the seance only work for, like, 12 hours, and then Toji will go back to hell? Or wherever, or the afterlife, wherever he's at. Will Toji just decide on his own to leave and go back to the afterlife? I don't know how this works. How does it work? We don't really know the mechanisms of the seance and what the limitations are and how it works. The grandma has done this before. She makes it seem like she's done these seances before, so she should know the limitations, but she doesn't tell us the limitations before she gets punched by Toji and presumably killed. Again, no body, no death. That seems to happen a lot in this episode. But I don't know. Where is Toji going to go now? That's kind of an element that I don't know. The question is, did Geto-kun, Brain-kun plan for Toji to get resurrected? Is Toji an element that Brain-kun did not foresee? And is that going to be something that's going to throw a wrench in whatever Brain-kun's plans are? Because Brain-kun seems to be absolutely confident that whatever is going down is going according to plan. They're like, oh, well, they lifted the veil up. Well, that was sooner than expected. Like, he anticipated it, right? So he's got all these contingencies, or Brain-kun, whatever it is, has all these contingencies for, okay, if this happens, now we go to this, now we go to that. And it seems like everything is following what order they want it to. But if Toji's alive and back in the situation, then what do we do with that? How does that work? And I don't think Megumi's going to run into him in this arc, in this season. If Toji makes it out of this without being destroyed and, like, escapes, then maybe Megumi will in, like, season 3 or whatever, but I don't know. The thing about it that's interesting is that, you know, Toji's always been hired to kill sorcerers. Well, he doesn't have any really reason to be hired. He's dead. He's just on borrowed time in a borrowed body. So is he going to go after and try to hurt Yuuji and the others? Or is he going to assist them? Because he's like, well, I have nothing else to do with my life, so whatevs. I really hope he runs into Maki and the old man and talks to them. I wouldn't be surprised if Toji killed the old man. Wouldn't be surprised at all if he killed the old Zenin man. Could totally see that. But then I don't know if he's going to fight Maki or if he's going to be like, who are you? And she's like, I'm your cousin. And he's going to be like, oh, and fight her. I don't know. It would make sense if he killed the Zenin guy. If Toji was a complete wild card and killed both antagonists and protagonists, that would be in line with Toji's character. But I don't know. I don't know what we're going to go get, right? And so Nita and all them, like, Maki's like, I got this. Like, there's bodies everywhere. And they're all being eaten by these cursed spirits. And Maki's doing all of the work. And the Zenin guy who's drunk is sitting there doing nothing. I'm like, you know, you could save some of these people that are getting eaten if you acted a little faster, Zenin. What's going on? But, so anyway, we have Nita and Nobara, and they're like, they suspect Ichiji's been attacked because he was on the phone with Nita when he was attacked, and so it probably happened after he left Fushiguro's group, so he could be in trouble by himself. And that's when Maki's like, okay, Nobara, you go with Akari-san, who's Nita, and go to Ichiji and try to find him. She's like, we can't use our cell phones in here. and we won't get anywhere without the assistant supervisors. So yeah, that's the thing. The people in suits are communication like towers, and when them being taken out, it's going to create even more confusion amongst the group. The thing that gets me is that we hard cut from this woman like bent over a table with her back eaten out by a curse to Zenon sitting there doing nothing. And I'm like, you are such a waste of space. Nope. Can't. He just wants more booze. I'm like, you're doing jack shit. And so Maki says, I doubt that idiot would ever lose, but this situation smells even fishier. And I'm like, if by that idiot she's talking about Megumi and Nanami and them, I don't know, right? And my dogs are like, we're gonna go run around now and be annoying. So yeah. Anyway, Maki's like, I got things. Sorry, my dogs are like deciding to run. And so she's like, the old man is slacking off too much. Yeah, because he's not doing it. She's like, ignore him, he's annoying. And she's like, once they're outside the veil, they'll be able to run if the worst happens. So yeah, guys, what are you doing? You'll have to excuse them. It's that time of day, they're just gonna run around. But I like that Maki is somewhat concerned about Nobara and the others, being like, if something happens, they can get out of here. So Maki thinks that Nobara and Nita might be in danger. So it's like, ugh. It's like there. Anyway, so then we go back to Ino and Megumi and them. And Megumi's like, we need to, he's not dead. And I love that Yuji's like, I'm going to punch him. I'm just going to punch him. Whoever did this, I'm going to punch them. And I was like, I don't think you need to punch Toji. You don't need to face Toji at all. I think Yuji needs to stay as far away from Toji as possible. That's not a situation we want. No. Because Yuji is like a physical fighter, but so is Toji. So I'm like, no, that's not a good matchup. We don't need that. And Megumi is like, he's like, the veil was lifted. You guys can go to Gojo. He's like, the people at top. I like that Megumi keeps calm in this situation. Megumi is like, look, the people that attacked Ino are probably already gone. So that's fine. So you need to go and do what our mission is, which is to find Gojo. Just go do that. It'll be fine. I'll take Ino and get out of here. I like the Megumi kind of keeps the cool head amidst everything. And then, you know what? Damn it. You know what? I wasn't shipping Megumi and Yuji, but when Yuji's like, if I die, you'll kill me, right? Like going back to season 1 with Megumi, and Megumi's just like, yep. Oh, it's so cute. I was like, yes. Yep. Go back to season 1, the two of them. That's what makes me think that Megumi and Yuji, if anything happens through all of this, Megumi and Yuji are going to be okay because Sukuna is not going to let their bond be shattered. Sukuna's like, nah, that guy needs to live and so do you so that we can get with that guy. And I'm like, all right. It's just really cute. His expression is just, Megumi's expression is like, fine. It's a very Gojo expression that Megumi gives, which is so fitting. I'm like, And then Mekamaru is like, hasn't responded in a while, which is problematic. And Megumi's like, so as long as you get it, I'm going to go. And then when he says, see you later, that see you later that Megumi gives is like, it's not flirting, but it's very close. And Yuji's like, yeah! Yuji is like ice cream. He's so sweet that he's just like, yeah, we'll see each other again soon. And Megumi's like, oh my God. And then we cut to for not showing us any blood at the beginning of the episode with him dragging his leg away. They just show him completely massacred and there's blood everywhere. So I'm like, I don't know how censorship works with this show. I don't know. Who knows? But MeiMei's like, nope, we got this. I'm going to make Gojo think he owes me a favor. Look at them. And that's when Geto's like, that was faster than expected. It showed him outside of the train station, like not where he was with Gojo, so, and the little spear, so I'm a little curious how that's gonna go. But then we have the blonde show up. The blonde is very creepy. And the reason I say this is that the blonde is very creepy because he has a very mojito vibe, like he just doesn't care. Like he's just doing this for no, which makes his confrontation with, at the beginning of episode 21, which I just watched recently from season 1, there's a confrontation between the blonde and Mojito, and they both kind of look at each other like sizing each other up. I feel like the blonde cursed user and Mojito are like representations of the same chaos, just one's a curse and one's a human. But they both, neither of them really care what's going on. They're just doing this because they want to. Because for whatever reason. Man, episode 21 of season 1 has been a very important episode, and it was like considered a filler. So what do we do with that? But yeah, so fascinating. But yeah, so the blonde shows up, and then we see, it is such a great moment of seeing Nanami just slowly walk by all of the suits that have been murdered by the blonde, slowly, as he's carrying Ichiji on his shoulders. I was expecting Nanami to just pick up each curse user as he goes and just throws them on his body and just keeps walking up that way. You know what it reminded me of? Very early on in Attack on Titan, in season 1, there's a scene where there's a character who sees his comrades killed one by one. It just shows him slowly going from one corpse to another and looking at them and doesn't say a word, and then confronts the person that caused it. And it's like, yes. And so I feel like that was translated in this scene as well. But man, so Nobara's like, I remember you. And then the blonde, I like that they're randomly in front of this poster of this, like, looks like a Jujutsu Kaisen sorcerer. It looks like Ghetto with like the white rose in front of them, randomly on this poster in this train station. It looks like it'd be shown in Ghetto with a white rose. I don't know what to make of that, Gege, if that's some secret illusion there. I don't know. But it's funny that we have all these callbacks, right? We have the callback to Nobara meeting the blonde cursed user back at the beginning of, back in season 1 during the conflict, and they just saw each other for an instant and then parted ways, and now they're facing each other here. It's like Gege knows what they're doing. They know what they're setting up for us. The blonde cursed user is problematic because they not only are chaotic, but the sword that they wield seems to be able to have a consciousness of its own. It's connected to him. But the sword doesn't have to be held by him to be used. It almost seems like they share like a telekinetic link, and the sword can go and attack people and notify the blonde cursed user as it's doing that. And then the blonde cursed user can go to wherever the sword is, like a homing device, and pick it up and finish them off, which is problematic. But there's also these 3 lines on their face, right? There's 6 lines. There's 3 on each cheek. And when Nanami picks him up to punch him before we don't see him again, 3 of those lines have faded, and the other 3 are still glowing. So that makes me believe it's kind of like a battery. Like, we saw the cursed user in the last episode against Megumi and Yuuji be able to repel attacks. I feel like the blonde cursed user's ability is that they get like 6 strikes. They get like 6 chances to not be hurt by an attack. And that's, or like they have a certain, as long as this cheeks are glowing, they are protected from any cursed technique. So I want to see if any of the lines fade as he's fought there. But man, what a douche. He just kicks Nita. Go for Nobara. Good for Nobara to like go after him, but him attacking her and like hitting her in the face, like with the hand, like it punching her right in the face. Oof. Because he seems like he embraces the rubble falling on him, which makes me believe that he wasn't worried about getting hit by the rubble because he had all the marks lit up, so he was going to be protected. But then, yeah, the sword comes out and the hand of the sword punches her and would cause a concussion, like they showed the skull getting cracked, which makes sense why she's like, well, shit. I want to see if any of his lines were faded. Because he kneels down beside her to look at her, right? And she, like, looks up, and we don't see the 6th line. We see 5 of them still lit up, right? I don't understand my own technique that well, he says. So, and his sword is, like, broken there. And she's trying to distract him before he attacks either of them anymore. Okay, yes! One of the lines is faded. Yes, so when the rubble fell on him, it knocked out one of the lines. So there were still 5 left to go. When Nanami punched him against the wall, and that's the last we saw of him, he still had 3 lines. So as far as we know, he's still going to have 2 more shots before he gets hurt. He didn't follow up, and I don't like that. I'm like, no, follow up with him. But no. So then we see, like, God, him stabbing Nita over and over again was harsh. I did not like that at all. Nope. Did not like that at all. Like, he just was stabbing her in the legs and the side. Like, not enough to kill her, but just torturing her. And then y'all. Our boy Nanami comes in. And if you are a Nanami fan, then this is like the best moment ever. What else, what do you want me to say? He just comes stalking in. He's put Ichiji down. And I love that Nobara was like distracting him and going against him and just Nanami and his big thick body walking through that damn entrance. Oh, I know, Huckleberry, I know. And just Nanami walking through. Just like the most big dick energy you've ever seen. Just like, doesn't say a word. Doesn't even announce his presence. You feel it come through, right? And him going after Nobara, and he just crashes the window. And I like Nobara, like, catches the sword in a crossfire. And he's like, oh, it's you! And he kicks Nobara aside. And is like, oh, hey. And just Nanami, the most adult of adults. That face, look on his face, is like the most, like, you done goofed. Like, it's a look of a parent that is like, oh, you keyed the car and you didn't tell me. Oh, you ran away for a day and you took all the money. Oh, okay, all right. Like, him just, like, coming through and just loosens the tie and ties it around his wrist. Oh, it was like, I love that the midway point of the episode is right when he shows up. It's like, grab you a coffee, take a break, settle down, get ready, it's coming. And just like the lines on his hands, like, they do so much emphasis on his hands. His knuckles were white when they punched him. He was so tense and mad, but he was controlling his emotions to be like, I'm going to ask you how many allies and where are they at? And when it became clear that the blonde was, one, not going to say, and two, didn't actually know because nobody's kept him in the know for reasons, then Nanami was like, okay, all right, I can see that this is not going to be beneficial to me anymore, so I'm just going to beat the shit out of you. Right? Oh my god. And he just strolls on up. I was like, okay, all right. And he's like, can't you see I'm holding these women hostage? And look, like, he tries, like, because he asks how many allies they have, and he's like, I don't know. And he tries to swing at Nanami, and the force of his blade did nothing. Like, it's like he activated hockey and was just like, you do no. He's like, you do nothing. Like, no, I have all this residual energy. You're not going to cut me. No. And he's like, what is the location of your allies? And he's like, I don't know. And he knocks him against the wall. And just like the veins in his damn hands, like, it's just like, just the veins in his hands. Yuji is so much like Nanami. Right? Yuji is so similar to Nanami because Yuji, I imagine that Yuji, like when he faced Mahito after Junpei died, had a similar aura to him. Very similar to Nanami. And Nanami here is just, and Nobara's like, oh, hey, he's on another level. And so no, now one of the other stripes died. He didn't die. And that's when the blonde says, I did not die. I would have died without my technique. So his technique, he doesn't quite understand it, but his technique allows him to have like basically 6 lives. 7, I guess. If all the lines disappear, then he just has himself, right? But he has six lives, and then that cursed sword that he doesn't quite understand. And he's like, I have to get out of here and I have to run. So eventually, I guess, maybe the question is, does he have 6 lives altogether? Or 6 or 7 lives? Or do they replenish themselves after a while? Once he loses the mark, is it gone permanently? Look, the moment that Nanami grabs his hair, I am not for, like, rough play like that. That's not me. But I imagine there were several of you in the audience watching this that were like, please grab my hair like that. I'm not a step on me person. No, I've never been like that. I'm the one that steps on people. I'm the stepper. I'm not the steppy. But but I would imagine several of you were probably thinking, oh, okay, well, this is nice. All right, fine. Because him grabbing him and then, like, looks up, and I'm sorry, but Nanami has never looked more jacked than he has been, like, gathering up all this energy and him being like, what's the location and the number? And it's just like his whole body is like, he's got all this pent up frustration and energy, and it's just like, what is this? Tell me. And when he gets like so close to his face, oh my god! Ah! I'm just like, no big deal. No big deal. Just gonna fangirl about it. It's fine. I'm like, all might be damned, right? And he doesn't know, and then just knocks it out of him. So yeah. Oh my god, I love that the lights go out the moment that he punches him. Yeah. So he still had the 3 marks there, right? And Nanami in the darkness. And I like that the sword goes to attack him and Nobara knocks it to the ceiling like a helicopter blade, right? He's like, read the room. And then Nanami lifts him up again. On my way here, I found the assistant supervisors dead. Oh, that look that he gives him where he's just like, that was you, wasn't it? And then, he's like, I'm sorry. And it's like, no, sorry, not sorry. Nope. And then just waylays him. Oh. Now, the problem is he still has 2 marks left. Even after that, right? Still has 2 marks left, potentially. So he still has 2 marks left, which concerns me because that means he's still alive. He could still do potential damage. I don't like that. I don't like what that means for us. So I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, we get to MeiMei showing up with Ghetto. And I like that MeiMei and Brain-kun have this confrontation. And MeiMei's trying to figure out, like, is this Ghetto or not? And she comes to the conclusion that she thinks it's a fake, but then he uses the curse manipulation. And she's like, well, is it not a fake then? So I feel like MeiMei is going through the same conundrum that Gojo went through, trying to figure out if it's Ghetto or not. And she's like, I don't know if it is. This is interesting. But in any case, she says that she held Ghetto in more higher regard than Gojo, which I feel a lot of people did. What's interesting, I feel like a lot of people thought that Ghetto was maybe more mature. The people that knew Gojo and knew Ghetto probably thought Ghetto was the cooler head and the more mature one than Gojo. The irony is that most people think Gojo's this all-powerful, mature, super badass, serious person, which he is, but he's also a troll and like a man-child sometimes. And I feel like MeiMei was like, yeah, I know that, and I respected you more. So MeiMei's trying to figure out, like, I put you in higher regard than Gojo. Why are you doing this? And she questions for a second whether Gojo and Ghetto have been in collaboration this entire time, which furthers the board of gay yearning and people being like, yeah, they're just collaborating together. Of course they would be. But then she's like, wait, no. If Gojo wanted to, he could kill everybody. So that makes no sense. So it has to be Ghetto working by himself. And then we have this damn smallpox deity that he just brings out of nowhere. The special grade disease curse, the smallpox deity. Which is interesting in itself, one, because it reminds us that we can make curses out of diseases. I don't want the COVID deity to come out anytime soon, you know? But also, I don't like this for a number of reasons. What we see it do when it attacks MeiMei is use like a coffin and use a very physical attack. I don't like that. I don't like the idea that this curse is based off a disease. So it could be something that infects MeiMei and the brother and slowly kills them or slowly poisons them. I don't like that. I don't like what it could be capable of, right? And then Ghetto's like, well, I want to keep the humans on B5, so I'm going to wait down the line. And if you can stop this curse, then you can attack me. So that's interesting. I don't know why Ghetto wants to keep the humans on B5. Like, I guess as a supply in case Mahito wants to transfigure any more of them. I feel like the humans that Ghetto is keeping, or Brain-kun, I'm probably going to call him Ghetto, but it's Brain-kun, are going to keep on B5. What I feel like it's going to be is that they are a means of Brain-kun to escape. If worse comes to worse, and Brain-kun's plan needs for him to get out of there with Gojo in the box, in the prison realm, then he's going to use the humans that are left in B5 as a distraction. Either he's going to make Mahito transfigure all of them to attack the group so that they can get away, or he's going to just throw all these human bodies at them and get away that way, like a smokescreen, or something. Or the other option is that whatever this red curse is just hanging out is is going to need like humans as collateral or as a sacrifice. I don't know. But I feel like the reason he's keeping the humans on B5 is just as a contingency if they need to get out of there. To use them as a distraction to go. So we think. But I like that MeiMei like gets trapped in this coffin and she's like, oh, I've been trapped. It felt very Bleach. There's like a curse in Bleach that is used that like traps you in a coffin and tries to kill you in like a certain like countdown. It felt like a very homage to Bleach and that move. That was one of my favorite curses in Bleach, so I feel like it's a nice homage to that. But she breaks out of it, and then the stone that falls on the box is very Demon Slayer. But then she breaks out of it, and the brother's like, "Oh yay, you broke out, sis." I'm still a little bit worried. She's like, "It's been a while since something threatened my life." Now, at this point, Yuji shows up with Choso around this time. I feel like by the time Nanami got to Nobara and Nita and the Blonde Curse, that it was around the same time that MeiMei was fighting him, Megumi was fighting them. I feel like Yuji meeting up with Choso is just a wee bit in the future. Just a wee bit, right? And he's at Shibuya Station there. And get this toy for him. Yep. So, and then of course, that's when Choso shows up. But we're not there yet. So yeah, I'm glad Nita's okay. But he asks them to stay there while he goes after MeiMei. Which is a problem, right? And Nobara offers to go. But, so yeah, okay. So Nanami says that he's going to meet up with Zenin and then head down to B5. So actually, Nanami is not headed towards MeiMei yet. He's got to go stop off and get Zenin and Maki first and then go to B5. So I don't know what that's going to entail. Is Nanami going to make it to Zenin? My theory is that, okay, maybe Nanami makes it to Zenin before they go to MeiMei, but something is going to make it to Maki and Zenin. Whether it's Toji, whether it's Jogo, whether it's Mahito, one of those three threats is going to make its way to Maki and Zenin first, with Nanami there. If we have Nanami and Toji on the screen together, it's too much hotness. It's too much sexiness. I don't know if Gege is going to try to override us with that, but it's too much. It's too much sexy. Too much sexy for one screen. But then again, Jogo and Nanami might be too much sexy for one screen. Sorry, no. I do love Jogo. He's a great villain. I really like him as a character. But I don't know what to make of Nobara and Nita being left alone. I don't know what to make of that. I honestly thought Choso was going to meet up with Nita and Nobara first. And Maki. I thought that was going to happen, and no. So I don't feel like the blonde ponytail is out of the woods. I feel like they're still going to try to attack Nobara and Nita. I don't like where that's headed. And if Jogo or Mahito show up with the blonde ponytail user, all bets are off. If the white-haired individual shows up, who knows what they can do? So there's still, right now we have Choso versus Yuji. We have MeiMei versus this special grade curse deity. But aside from that, we don't know where any of these villains are going to show up with any of these characters. It's very apparent to me at this point, because we're on episode 7 of season 2, and we still have all of these different things to happen. This entire season is going to be the Shibuya incident, right? The whole season pretty much is going to be. So it's going to be just what happens at the end of all of this. And I don't know. But Choso shows up to face Yuji first. And he's instantly like, I'm going to avenge my brothers. He's like, oh, it's you, Yuji Itadori. He's like, I'm going to avenge my brothers right now. And Yuji's like, what? I like that Yuji's like, who are you? Does Yuji know who Choso is? I don't think he does. I don't think Yuji has any clue who Choso is. He knows who the brothers are, obviously, but I don't think he knows who Choso is. I feel like next episode they're going to find out who Choso is, but I like Choso, so I don't know what to make of it, but I don't know. I don't know. So the timer, Mekamaru being quiet, Brain-kun seeming to be in charge of everything and seeming like they're not worried about everything. The fact that all these pieces are on the board and moving slowly, it's concerning. But episode was great. What a way to start your morning. I feel so fine. I feel so elated. And I'm really happy that we got to see NANAMI go all out a little wee bit in this episode. Cheers. So yeah. So I guess we'll find out what happens next week and go from there. But I hope y'all enjoyed this reaction discussion. It was a lot of fun. I was excited to be Jogo. Next week I'm going to be NANAMI. I've got the wig and everything all ready to go. So fun times. Well, how fitting. We'll pay homage to him next week. So in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I'll be back very soon with episode 13. Lucky number 13 of season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen.